Hey, what's up YouTube? Squatch coming at you with another video on the 1KZ. Today we're going to be going over kind of some of the fuel issues that I was having with this and the process that I kind of went through in order to fix it and some of the things that I learned along the way. So stay tuned and we'll get into the video. Okay, so the issue that I was having with the 1KZ was the fuel issue. There was a bunch of white smoke coming out of the tailpipe. There was a intermittent miss, especially at higher idles. Whenever I would rev it up and kind of hold it at a higher idle, you could see the engine shake and you can feel it kind of miss on the firing. So my process of elimination was probably not in the correct order. It was kind of just my findings took me here and then took me there. So my process might not have been the best or in order, might not work for you and what you need to fix your vehicle with, but I'm going to kind of show you how I went through it and the information that I got along the way. So the first issue that I had noticed was I went to take off the intake here because I had a leak on the back side. There used to be a sensor here. I kind of basically just did away with this butterfly valve and bypassed it. But when I took the intake tube off, I noticed that there was a bunch of oil all throughout this intake tube, and there's a bunch of oil right at the top of the turbo. That's usually a good indication that your turbo is bad and that oil is bypassing through either a faulty seal or something has internally gone wrong with your turbo. So the first thing I did was I went to fix my replace my turbo. You can get these rebuilt, you can get them resealed and stuff, but I found this brand new, well, brand newish refurbished turbo online for like 200 bucks. So I mean, for the price, you just can't beat it. So I went ahead, ordered the turbo, got it installed. Also cleaned out my intake system. That's very important because when that oil gets into your intake system, it can throw off your firing and can cause miss and everything. So I cleaned out the intake system, replaced the turbo. Unfortunately, that did not fix my issue. It was still had a miss and blowing white smoke. The next step that I went to was the injectors. Now I was concerned that the injectors might be internally not working. Something was screwed up with them. The tip might not be cleaned. I also found that at the base of these injectors, they have these little bitty crush sleeves that a lot of people say that you can just reuse them, and I was concerned that maybe that was an issue. So I went ahead and ordered the crush sleeves and new injectors just to kind of try to troubleshoot that, because I don't have any diagnosing tools. So I ordered those, had to get them from overseas. It was kind of expensive, cost me more than I want to admit, and it took about 2 months to get that stuff shipped in, just because of everything going on. It just took longer than expected. So, but I got those put in, and even though it didn't solve my issue, it did lead me to discover that there was another issue. When I went to crack the injectors to bleed out all the air bubbles and try to kind of just bleed the system, I noticed that the fuel pressure was really low. Usually on diesel injection pumps, they have a lot of pressure going to this. This should be spraying out and kind of make a big old mess when you crack them. When I cracked these, it was almost as if there was just an open water hose, just kind of, it was pouring out, but it was not good pressure that a diesel injector should have. So that led me to my next finding. So the next step that I went to was to look at a lift pump. On diesel engines, your lift pump lifts the fuel out of the fuel tank and then brings it up into your injector. The lift pumps are good for if you're going to be doing like upgraded injectors, boost up, increasing the boost to your turbo, that kind of thing. You really want to have a lift pump put on there. It just kind of helps from your injection pump from starving itself, keeps it cooler, lasts longer, that kind of stuff. I had originally removed the original fuel pump out of the tank because I had read that this was self-priming, and I was concerned that maybe I was wrong or got wrong information. So I went ahead and went to O'Reilly's, got an external continuous run diesel fuel pump. It pumps about 7 psi, which is basically all I need for this injection pump. After I got it all hooked up, got it wired in, I actually wired it into the key and all that good stuff. So after I got that put in, started it up, I was still having a fuel issue, the white smoke and the intermittent mist, which leads me to the last and final issue. I also want to note that if you are having an issue like that and you are looking into your lift pump and all that good stuff, you also may want to check your fuel lines. Because I have run brand new fuel lines into my system, I had just run those in. I kind of just double checked, make sure nothing was kinked or pinched or anything like that. But you also may want to check to see if your fuel lines are leaking. That could be an issue you're having. So after all that was said and done, I kind of went to looking into the injection pump. The injection pump I have on here is not OE. It's not the original pump. I went with a manual pump. These come with an electronically controlled pump. And so because it's not the original pump and I don't really have access to information on this injection pump, it was kind of hard for me to really diagnose what was going on with this injection pump. But after some extensive research and kind of calling a bunch of people, talking and looking online at some information, I found that not only are these mechanical injection pumps clocked from the front, inside this front there's some gears that runs off the camshaft, that not only are they clocked on the front through the teeth on those gears, but these can also be clocked on the mounting back here. So this injection pump can actually kind of rotate just ever so slightly on the mounting to adjust the injection pump. I found that when you adjust the injection pump towards the engine, if you kind of rotate it towards the engine, it actually increases fuel pressure. Away from the engine, decreases fuel pressure. Now, unfortunately, it's because the information is not really there. There's no really set spot for it to be in, and I don't really know the effects of kind of turning it up too much, turning it down. To me, it almost seems like a distributor cap, where, you know, your old mechanics, you know, they can go twist the cap and be like, oh yeah, that sounds perfect. You know, it's kind of a sense of feel and just listening to the engine and kind of being able to know, like, that seems about right. Like I said, there's really not too much information on where to actually clock that mounting. So, but after I was able to clock it and adjust the fuel up, this thing has been running like a top. The white smoke went away, that's non-existent. Idling up, the intermittent mist went away. I mean, this thing just sounds beautiful. So this was a very tricky process. You know, like I said, my process of elimination probably was not in the right order. It was kind of just one thing took me here to there. So like I said, hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and find out what works best for you. So on this injection pump, I started by adjusting. There's a little valve back here. I don't know if you can see it. Try to get you in a little closer. This little valve right here is a fuel valve. I would not recommend adjusting that. Basically all that does is adjust the amount of pressure to your turbo, and if you put too much pressure to your turbo, you could actually cause it to build up too much pressure in your crankcase system, in your actual engine. You could blow seals, you could really do some internal damage. I would not recommend doing that unless you know what you're doing and you're trying to get the most pressure out of your fuel. Okay guys, the moment you've all been waiting for, we're gonna go ahead and start it up. I'll let you listen to see how she sounds. Right now I kind of have all my dash torn apart, the odometer and everything's out. I got a couple of gauges I need to fix, so I've kind of got those tore apart and I'm looking at getting those fixed. But everything starts up because it's not computer controlled, so and she starts right up. So starts right up, no white smoke. She runs and sounds really good, sounds really sturdy. And then when you that's how she's supposed to sound. Okay you guys, that's it for today's video. I hope this helps you out. Hope you learned something. I definitely learned a lot. All right guys, I will see you in the next one. Peace.